On March 14, 2024, at exactly 3:33 a.m., a mother in Portland, Oregon walked into her son's bedroom and found him levitating 3 feet above his bed. His eyes were rolled back. Blood tears streamed down his face. And the boy, deaf since birth, unable to hear a single sound for 8 years, was whispering in a language that hadn't been spoken in over 2,000 years. This is the story you were never supposed to hear. Because what came next changes everything we thought we knew about reality itself. Before we go further into the darkness, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments, what city are you watching from right now? You're going to want to remember where you were when you first heard this. Let's go back to the beginning. To understand what happened that night, we need to understand who Samuel Torres was before the angels came. Samuel Torres was born on January 1st, 2016 at exactly midnight. His mother, Christina, went into labor during a citywide power outage that doctors still can't explain. Every hospital in Portland lost electricity at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve. The backup generators failed, phones stopped working, and in that darkness, in complete silence, Samuel came into the world. He didn't cry, not once. The nurses thought he was stillborn until they saw his eyes, wide open, staring directly at the ceiling, as if watching something no one else could see. By age 2, doctors confirmed what Christina already knew. Samuel was profoundly deaf. No hearing aids would help. No surgery could fix it. His world was absolute silence. But his parents noticed something strange. Samuel never seemed afraid of the quiet. Most deaf children show frustration, confusion. Samuel seemed peaceful, more than peaceful. He seemed like he was constantly listening to something they couldn't hear. By age 6, the drawings started. Christina found them hidden under his bed, hundreds of them, intricate mandalas that seemed impossible for a child to create. But that wasn't the disturbing part. The disturbing part was when she showed them to her brother, an astronomy professor at Reed College, and he went pale. "These are star positions," he told her, hands shaking as he held one of Samuel's drawings, "but not current positions. These are astronomical alignments from 2,000 years ago, and these," he pointed to a series of symbols along the bottom, "these are Aramaic characters." Samuel had never been taught Aramaic. He'd never seen astronomical charts. He was 8 years old, deaf, and somehow channeling knowledge that shouldn't exist in his mind. Christina did what any terrified mother would do. She took the drawings away, hid them, told herself it was coincidence, pattern recognition, something explainable. That was her first mistake, because 3 days later, Samuel stopped sleeping. Night after night, Christina would check on him. He'd be sitting cross-legged on his bed, hands moving in sign language, but not the ASL she'd taught him. Different signs, ancient-looking, fluid, almost like he was conducting an invisible orchestra. "Who are you talking to?" she signed to him one night. Samuel's hands stopped. He turned to look at her, and for the first time in his life, he signed back a response that made her blood run cold. "The ones who have always been here." That was February 28th, 2024, 2 weeks before the night that changed everything. The phenomena escalated quickly after that. Christina would wake up to find Samuel standing in the hallway, facing the wall, his fingers tracing symbols that glowed faintly, impossible but there, before fading away. She'd find him in the kitchen at 4 a.m., arranging cereal pieces into complex mathematical equations. She'd catch him staring at the television static, tears streaming down his face, signing frantically at the white noise. She called doctors, psychologists, sleep specialists. They found nothing wrong. His brain scans were normal, his vitals were perfect. "He's just processing the world differently," they said. Deaf children often develop unique cognitive patterns, but Christina knew. Deep in her bones, in that primal place where mothers always know, she understood her son was changing. Something was using him, speaking through him, preparing him for something. March 14th started like any other day. Samuel went to school, came home, did his homework, ate dinner, showed no signs that tonight would be the night the angels broke through. Christina tucked him in at 8:30 p.m. He signed, "I love you" in ASL. She signed it back. She turned off the light, closed the door, and walked down the hallway, completely unaware that in 6 hours and 53 minutes she would find her son floating above his bed, speaking prophecies in dead languages, with blood pouring from his eyes. At 3:33 a.m., every dog in the neighborhood started howling. Every phone in a 3-block radius displayed the same error message: signal interrupted, source unknown. Uday, and in Samuel's bedroom, something that had been waiting for 8 years, since the moment he was born in that darkened hospital, finally made contact. Christina doesn't remember running up the stairs, doesn't remember opening Samuel's door. The next clear memory she has is standing in the doorway, her hand covering her mouth, watching her son suspended in midair like a puppet on invisible strings. His lips were moving. Impossible. He'd never made vocal sounds before. His deafness made speech nearly impossible, but now words poured from his mouth in a whisper that somehow filled the entire room, layered, as if a dozen voices spoke through him at once. Christina pulled out her phone with shaking hands and recorded what came next. That footage has been analyzed by linguistic experts, religious scholars, and government agencies. What they found should terrify you. Samuel spoke in multiple voices layered together. "The seals are breaking. The cycle completes. We have walked among you for 40 generations waiting for the alignment. 2026 marks the return. The old world ends. The deaf shall hear, the blind shall see, and those who heard and saw shall lose both." His body slowly rotated in mid-air. Symbols appeared on his skin, glowing, shifting, impossible. Christina screamed his name. She rushed forward to grab him, and the moment her hand touched his ankle, she collapsed. What happened next, she would only remember in fragments. Flashes, images burned into her mind like photographs. She saw Samuel standing in a desert surrounded by 12 other children, all deaf, all the same age. She saw ancient temples, star alignments, a massive object in the sky that shouldn't exist. She saw armies, flooding, cities abandoned. And at the center of it all, those children speaking in unison, channeling something vast and terrible and impossibly old. When Christina opened her eyes, she was lying on Samuel's bedroom floor. Dawn light streamed through the window. Her son was in his bed, sleeping peacefully as if nothing had happened, but her phone still had the video, and the symbols were still burned into the floor. And when she checked Samuel's body, she found them, marks on his skin. A language older than human civilization, covering his arms, his chest, his back, fading slowly, but there, undeniable proof. She didn't call 911, didn't call doctors. Some instinct told her that if authorities got involved, she'd never see her son again. Instead, she did something that would connect her to a network she didn't know existed. She posted the video online. Within 3 hours, the video had been viewed 2 million times. Within 6 hours, it had been removed from every platform. But by then it was too late. The truth was out, and Christina started receiving messages. "My son, too. My daughter is 8, born January 1st, 2016, deaf. She's doing the same thing. We're in Mumbai. He started speaking in tongues last week. São Paulo. She drew the same symbols. My nephew in Cairo, blood from his eyes. The prophecy. 12 children, all born at exactly midnight on January 1st, 2016, during simultaneous power outages in 12 different cities across the world. All deaf from birth, all exhibiting the same phenomena, all delivering the same message. By March 16th, a journalist named Marcus Webb had connected the dots. He'd been investigating unexplained phenomena for 15 years, dismissed as a conspiracy theorist by mainstream media. But this was different. This was documented, verified. 12 families, 12 time zones, all reporting identical experiences. Webb managed to get 6 of the families on an encrypted video call. What happened during that call would leak later, and the transcript reads like something from a fever dream. They all described the same thing. The children had stopped being just children. Something ancient had awakened inside them. They moved differently now, spoke with authority beyond their years, and they all kept repeating the same date. Samuel signed while another child vocalized, October 13th, 2026. The alignment completes. The door opens. We are the keys. We have always been the keys. Webb asked from off-camera, What door? What's coming? All 6 children on screen turned to look directly at the camera simultaneously. Their eyes reflected light that wasn't in the room. The child in Tokyo spoke in perfect English with no accent. The ones who seeded humanity, the watchers, the architects, they left 40 generations ago. The cycle completes in 2026. They return to judge the harvest. Webb pressed further. Judge? What happens if we fail? The child in Sao Paulo smiled. It wasn't a child's smile. You already failed. That's why we're here. The question isn't what happens next. The question is whether 12 keys can change what's already been decided. The video call suddenly disconnected. All screens went black. The timestamp froze at 11:11:11. The call ended. Or was ended. Webb tried to reconnect, but every device in his office shut down simultaneously. When power returned 3 minutes later, the recording was gone. But he'd taken notes, and those notes would eventually reach someone who could do something about it. Dr. Elena Reeves was a former DARPA consultant specializing in ancient languages and pattern recognition. She'd left government work after discovering classified projects that kept her awake at night. When Webb's research landed in her inbox from an anonymous sender, she recognized immediately what she was looking at. Because Elena had seen these symbols before, 20 years earlier, in excavations beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, sealed chambers that predated known civilization, and inscribed on those walls was a warning. The inscription translated to, When 12 are born in darkness, during the alignment of broken time, they shall open what was sealed. The watchers shall return, and humanity shall remember what it forgot. Elena made a decision that night. She booked a flight to Portland. If this was real, if these children were somehow connected to something that ancient civilizations had predicted, then humanity had less than 3 years to prepare for something it couldn't possibly understand. But she wasn't the only one who'd noticed the 12 children. Others were watching. Others who'd been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. The prophecy had begun. The countdown to 2026 was ticking, and Samuel Torres, 8 years old, deaf and now permanently changed, woke up on March 17th with a message written in his own blood on the walls of his bedroom. They are already here. They are already here. They are already here. Samuel was admitted to Oregon Health and Science University Hospital on March 17th, officially for psychological evaluation. Unofficially, because 3 other children in Portland, none of them deaf, none of them connected to Samuel, had written the same message on their own walls that same night, in their own blood, while sleepwalking. The medical staff couldn't explain his vitals. Samuel's brain activity showed patterns they'd never seen before. During REM sleep, his neural firing resembled epilepsy, but it was synchronized, rhythmic, almost like his brain was receiving a transmission. Dr. Sarah Chen, who'd been a pediatric neurologist for 23 years, stated on record, I've seen thousands of EEG readings. Samuel's brain activity is communicating. With itself or something else, I can't determine. But there are sequences here that match prime number progressions, mathematical constants. It's as if his unconscious mind is processing complex equations. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was what happened when Eleanor Reeves arrived. Elena had brought something with her, a fragment of stone from that chamber beneath the Temple Mount, a piece of artifact she'd stolen decades ago, knowing someday it would matter. When she entered Samuel's hospital room, the boy, who'd been catatonic for 18 hours, sat up immediately. His eyes opened, and without signing, without speaking, he pointed directly at her briefcase. Elena whispered, You know what this is. Samuel nodded. His lips began moving. The same layered voices from before. The seal, fragment 7 of 12. You carry the word that binds. Show me. Elena's hands trembled as she opened the briefcase. The moment the stone tablet was exposed, every electronic device in the hospital wing shut down. Monitors flatlined, lights flickered, and Samuel's body began to glow from within, as if his bones were made of light. What happened next was recorded on Elena's handheld audio device, the only electronics that continued working. The audio file has been analyzed by agencies we're not allowed to name. This is a transcript of what Samuel said. I am the 7th key, born in darkness during the fracture of time. We 12 were chosen before we existed. Our deafness is not disability. It is protection. We hear what others cannot, the frequency beyond human perception, the voice of the architects. Christina sobbed in the corner. What did you do to my son? Samuel turned toward her, his eyes completely white. I am still your son, but I am also a vessel. When I was born, during the 3 minutes and 33 seconds of global darkness, something ancient was placed inside 12 shells. We are Trojan horses. Keys designed to open a lock that humanity built to protect itself. Elena stepped forward with her recording device. The chamber inscription mentioned a seal. What was sealed? Samuel's head tilted at an unnatural angle. When he spoke, the voice shifted, older, feminine, layered with countless others. The Watchers were banished 40 generations ago by 12 guardians who sacrificed their mortality to create the seal. But the seal was designed to last exactly 2,000 years. On October 13, 2026, at the moment of complete celestial alignment, the seal expires, unless 12 new guardians take the place of the old. The room temperature dropped. Breath became visible. Frost formed on windows in geometric patterns, the same symbols. Elena pressed, You're saying these 12 children are meant to become sacrifices? Not sacrifices, successors. We were prepared from birth, deaf so we could hear them, born in darkness so we could carry light. Our bodies are keys, yes, but we choose which door opens, the return of the Watchers, or their permanent exile. Power suddenly restored. Samuel collapsed back onto the bed, normal child again, crying. Christina rushed to him. The hospital released Samuel 3 days later, no explanation given, files sealed, but Elena Reeves had what she needed. She knew the other 11 children had to be found, protected, prepared, because if what Samuel said was true, humanity had 975 days until a decision point that would reshape reality. Marcus Webb used his network to locate the families. By April 2024, 10 of the 12 children had been identified. 2 remained hidden, one in rural China, one in Argentina. All showed the same progression, the blood tears, the speaking in tongues, the ancient knowledge flooding into young minds. Elena organized a secret gathering, June 1st, 2024. A private estate in Iceland, chosen because ancient texts claimed it was neutral ground, where the veil between worlds was thinnest. 10 children came. The Chinese and Argentinian families couldn't be reached or wouldn't come, but 10 was enough. 10 keys could perhaps still seal the door. The parents and Elena watched from monitors outside a large room where the 10 children sat in a circle. No adults were allowed inside. For 3 hours, the children sat in silence. They didn't sign, didn't speak, but something was happening. The air inside the room rippled like heat waves. Shadows moved without light source, and on the monitors, barely visible, tall figures stood behind each child. Marcus Webb, watching the monitors with Elena, whispered, "Jesus Christ! Elena, are you seeing this?" Elena's voice was tight. "They're here. The Watchers, they never left. They've been waiting beside these children since birth." One child, Samuel, suddenly stood. The others followed, moving in perfect synchronization. They joined hands, began speaking in unison. "We are the bridge. We are the lock and the key. We carry the memory of the first seal and the prophecy of the last. Hear us now, mothers and fathers of flesh. Your children are changing. By 2026, we will no longer be wholly human. The question you must answer is this: do you trust us to make the choice, or will you try to stop what cannot be stopped? The door to the room opened by itself. Slowly, the children walked out in single file, eyes forward, expressions blank. Behind them, the room was empty, but the temperature inside had dropped to -40°C. Ice crystals covered every surface. The Iceland gathering ended with more questions than answers, but it proved one critical thing: the children were connected. Quantum entangled, Elena theorized. What one experienced, all experienced. They were becoming a single consciousness distributed across 12 bodies. That night, all 10 children in different locations drew the same image at the same moment, an eye within a spiral, within a triangle. Back in Portland, Christina made a decision. She started documenting everything. Daily videos of Samuel, his behaviors, his drawings, his sleep patterns. She created a YouTube channel under a false name, Chronicles of the 12. The videos were cryptic, never showing Samuel's face, never revealing locations, but the information was there for those who knew how to look. By September 2024, the channel had 3 million subscribers. Anonymous sources began sending Christina similar accounts. Not all deaf children, but children born during those same synchronized power outages, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all showing latent abilities, all dreaming the same dreams. The truth was spreading beyond the 12 original keys. Something had happened on January 1st, 2016, a global event that marked an entire generation. The deaf 12 were just the primary conduits, but countless others had been touched. Elena realized with growing horror what the Watchers had done. The 12 children weren't just keys. They were transmitters, seeds planted in a generation, spreading an awakening across the planet. By 2026, there wouldn't be 12 decision-makers. There would be thousands. A generation of children carrying ancient consciousness, evolved awareness, preparing to collectively determine humanity's fate. But governments were noticing too. By November 2024, agencies across the world began quietly detaining children exhibiting unusual abilities. Families disappeared. The Chronicles of the 12 channel was taken down, then mysteriously restored with a simple message pinned to every video from an account called Watcher 12. You cannot silence what has already awakened. The cycle completes. 673 days remain. Choose wisely. Samuel turned 9 years old on January 1st, 2025. He celebrated with cake and presents like any normal child. But that night, Christina found him standing in the backyard at midnight, staring at the sky, signing to something she couldn't see. She signed to him. "What are you telling them?" Samuel turned, his face calm, ancient. He signed back slowly. "I'm telling them we're ready. All 12 keys. All 1,000 seeds. When October 13th, 2026 comes, humanity will make its choice. But Mother," his expression shifted, became a frightened 9-year-old again. "I don't know if we're choosing right. I see what they show me, the glory, the evolution, but I also see what we'll lose, our humanity, our chaos, our beautiful, broken, imperfect selves." Christina embraced her son. Both cried. Above them, the stars pulsed once, synchronized, a response. As 2025 progressed, the phenomena intensified. More children manifesting abilities, more sightings of the Watchers, caught on cameras, witnessed by thousands. World governments could no longer deny something was happening. Religious institutions called it the rapture. Scientists called it mass psychosis. But the 12 children knew the truth. The Watchers were returning. The seal was breaking, and 12 deaf children born in darkness would determine whether humanity evolved beyond its current form or was judged and found wanting. But there was one thing Samuel hadn't told his mother, one final secret the 12 carried. Because the choice wasn't just about humanity's future, it was about humanity's past, and what the Watchers had done to create us in the first place. Samuel sat alone in his room that night, writing in a journal. One sentence was visible on the page. "We are not their children. We are their experiment, and the results are due." The sound of massive wings echoed through the darkness, closer than before. A voice, vast, ancient, neither male nor female, whispered through the night, "The harvest approaches." The world changed slowly, then all at once. By October 2026, the phenomena could no longer be dismissed or covered up. The children, now 10 years old, had stopped pretending to be normal. Schools reported children walking through hallways, with other students following them like disciples. Traffic stopped when a child simply raised their hand. A girl in Tokyo healed a bird with a broken wing by touch. Cameras captured everything. The old world was crumbling. Samuel no longer needed sign language. He could project his thoughts directly into his mother's mind. All 12 primary keys had developed the same ability, but with it came something terrifying. They'd stopped sleeping, stopped eating, their bodies sustained by something that wasn't of this world. Christina watched Samuel through his bedroom door. He sat cross-legged, floating 6 inches above the bed, eyes open, unblinking. He'd been like this for 3 days straight. Elena Reeves had spent 2 years trying to understand the endgame. Her research led her to ancient texts, sealed Vatican archives, classified government documents. What she discovered was a truth so profound it shattered everything she thought she knew about human history. In an underground archive, she found a container marked with symbols that matched the children's drawings. Inside was a scroll preserved impossibly well for something allegedly 4,000 years old. The scroll was written in Proto-Sumerian, predating known writing systems. Elena spent 6 months translating it. When she finished, she understood why it had been hidden. The translation read, "We were the first experiment. Before the flood, before recorded time, they came from the spaces between stars, the Watchers. They found primitive humanity and they changed us, coded us, placed locks in our DNA that would open when the time was right. They made us self-aware, gave us language, mathematics, consciousness itself. But consciousness was the key to something greater, something we were not ready to understand. So they left, sealed themselves away, and promised to return when humanity had multiplied, when enough conscious minds existed to generate the energy required for the final awakening. The Watchers didn't create humanity, they upgraded it, and the upgrade came with a timer. 40 generations, 800 years per generation in ancient counting. Exactly 2,000 years from the year they sealed themselves away. Elena recorded an audio journal on October 2nd, 2026. "I finally understand. The 12 children aren't meant to stop the Watchers. They're meant to complete the circuit. Humanity's collective consciousness has reached critical mass. 8 billion minds, all connected through technology, generating psychic energy we don't even know we're producing. The children are receivers, collectors. When the seal breaks on October 13th, all that accumulated human consciousness will be channeled through those 12 bodies and delivered to the Watchers. It's a harvest of minds." Elena tried to warn the families, tried to stop the gathering planned for October 13th, but it was too late. The children were already converging, not by choice, by design. Their bodies were following programming coded before they were born. On October 10th, news channels worldwide captured the same phenomenon. All 12 children, including the 2 who'd been hidden, simultaneously walked away from their homes in different parts of the world, moving with purpose, heading toward a single destination. They walked toward Iceland, the neutral ground where the first gathering had occurred. But this time, no parents were invited, no observers. The children sent a single message telepathically to their families. Parents around the world collapsed simultaneously, clutching their heads, receiving the message. Christina fell in her kitchen, crying as words filled her mind. "We love you. We are sorry. We understand now what we are, what we were always meant to be. Do not try to follow. Do not try to stop us. In 3 days, either humanity will transcend or it will be reset. The choice has always been ours to make. Trust us or lose us. The children walked through cities, across fields, over mountains. People trying to stop them simply froze, unable to move as the children passed. Security footage from 12 different countries showed the same phenomena. By October 12th, they had all reached the Iceland estate. Abandoned now, except for the 12, they arranged themselves in a circle in the same room where they'd first gathered, and they waited. Satellite footage showed the estate from above. A perfect circle of light surrounded the building, growing brighter by the hour. Marcus Webb managed to get close with a camera crew. The last independent footage of what happened next comes from his equipment, found abandoned half a mile from the estate. Webb whispered into his microphone, "It's 11:47 p.m., October 12th. In 13 minutes it will be October 13th in Iceland. The celestial alignment begins at midnight. I can hear singing, children's voices, but more than children. It's beautiful and it's terrifying, and The sky above the estate turned wrong. Colors that shouldn't exist formed geometric patterns in the aurora borealis, and descending through them were figures, dozens of them, humanoid, massive, wings of light. Webb's voice broke. "They're here. The Watchers are here. Oh God, they're beautiful. I can't look away." The camera fell. The footage continued recording for another 7 minutes. What it captured has been classified by every government that's seen it, but audio leaked, and that audio tells you everything you need to know. The children spoke in perfect unison, not childish voices anymore, ancient, powerful, resonating with frequencies that shattered the camera's microphone. "We are the bridge between what you were and what you will become. We have seen your history. We have tasted your consciousness, and we make our choice now. Watchers of the void. Humanity is flawed, violent, self-destructive, but humanity is also beautiful, creative, capable of love that defies logic. You gave us consciousness as a test. We give it back as a gift, not to you, to ourselves. The seal remains. The door stays closed. Find another species to harvest. This one is ours." Silence followed, long enough that Webb thought it was over. Then a voice answered. Not human, not anything from this world. Deep enough to vibrate bones. Old enough to remember the birth of stars. You were given a choice. 12 keys. You have chosen. But choices have consequences. If you seal us away again, you seal yourselves as well. You will remain mortal, fractured, limited. The 1,000 seeds will forget. The awakening will reverse. Humanity will continue stumbling in darkness, never knowing what it could have been. Samuel's voice rose above the others. Clear, defiant, still somehow a child. Then we stumble, but we stumble together. And maybe that's what makes us worthy. Not perfection, not transcendence, but the choice to remain beautifully, impossibly human. The light above the estate exploded outward. Every recording device within 50 miles went dead. Power grids across Iceland failed. And when they came back online 30 seconds later, the estate was empty. The 12 children were gone. Search teams found nothing. No bodies, no traces. Just 12 perfect circles of scorched earth where the children had stood, and in the center of the room, a single message carved into the stone floor in every language humanity has ever spoken. The choice is made. The seal holds. 2,000 years remain. Use them wisely. Christina woke up on the morning of October 14th to find Samuel in his bed, sleeping peacefully. He had no memory of the last 4 days. None of the 12 did. The symbols had faded from their skin. Their abilities were gone. They were just children again, deaf children with ordinary lives ahead of them, but something had changed in the world. The 1,000 seeds who'd been awakening began to forget. Dreams faded, abilities diminished. Within a month, it was as if the phenomena had never happened. Governments debunked the footage. Scientists explained it as mass hysteria. The world moved on because that's what the world does. But Elena Reeves kept researching, and in ancient texts she found a pattern. Every 2,000 years, the same story. 12 children, a choice, a seal renewed, humanity given another chance. She found Marcus Webb one last time in December 2026, showed him what she'd discovered. The cycle had repeated 7 times before this. 7 chances, 7 seals. What happens when we run out of chances? Webb asked. Elena closed her book, looked at the sky, smiled sadly. We hope that by then we've finally learned what those children already knew, that being human, with all its flaws and chaos and beautiful imperfection, is not a test to pass, it's a gift to cherish. Samuel Torres turned 11 years old on January 1st, 2027. He blew out candles, made a wish, went to bed like any normal child. And if sometimes he woke up with the feeling that he'd forgotten something important, something vast and terrible and wonderful, he shook it off, went back to sleep, and dreamed of nothing more extraordinary than an ordinary life. But in the spaces between stars, in dimensions beyond human perception, the watchers waited, patient, eternal, because they had time, and in 2,000 years, 12 more keys would be born. The cycle would begin again, the choice would be offered again, and humanity would have to decide once more what it truly wanted to be. The story doesn't end. It never does. It just waits for the next alignment, the next generation, the next chance. Are we worthy? 2026 has given us the answer. Now we have 2,000 years to prove it was the right one.